We live in a world where food is a service, not a struggle. For 99% of human history, this convenience was an impossible anomaly. 10,000 years ago, the default human state was perpetual motion. If you stopped walking, you stopped eating. Every morning began with a single question: where will the next meal come from? The constant threat of an empty stomach dictated every migration and every social interaction. During this era, life was a cycle of searching and consuming. Survival was measured in hours, and the concept of a future didn't extend past the next successful hunt. This shift wasn't a sudden invention. It was the result of thousands of years observing the natural world, watching how seeds fell, where they grew, and how they reacted to water. Humans began to intervene in this process, selecting and protecting specific wild grasses like wheat and barley, until they could be harvested reliably. This mastery over plants removed the immediate fear of starvation. We became producers, but this security came with a price. The crops required us to stay in one place. Farming transformed the landscape from a series of paths into a collection of fixed points. Once the seeds were in the ground, humans were tethered to the earth. The need for proximity to the fields replaced temporary lean-tos with mud-walled houses and thatch roofs, creating the first permanent villages. With a permanent base, humans could finally keep animals for more than just meat. They tamed wild cattle and yoked them, utilizing their strength for plowing and transport. These combined forces, stable housing and animal labor, allowed for the creation of a surplus. For the first time, we had more grain than we could eat in a single day. This surplus introduced a problem nomadic humans never had to solve. Who owns the food that isn't eaten immediately? When survival depends on a specific plot of land and a stored granary, the concept of private property becomes a necessity. The fence and the lock replaced the nomadic culture of collective foraging. Because some fields were more fertile and some granaries were better guarded, the community began to divide. This control over stored resources led to inevitable wealth disparities and the first social classes. By prioritizing the long-term protection of individual stockpiles over the immediate needs of the group, agriculture altered the way humans viewed their relationship to one another. As these villages grew, the scale of the surplus became unmanageable on foot. Moving tons of grain and heavy stone required a new kind of physics. The wheel emerged as a solution to this logistical bottleneck. It was a tool of heavy engineering designed to move the massive weight of a successful harvest. Efficient transport enabled trade. Villages that were once isolated began to exchange goods and ideas over long distances, turning local surpluses into regional economies. Rotational technology transformed storage itself. The pottery used to hold grain evolved from simple clay jars into specialized, decorated art forms, reflecting the growing sophistication of the culture. There is a clear pattern. Only after humans committed to staying perfectly still did they invent the technology required to move faster than ever before. The grain and the tools were only the visible surface of this revolution. The most significant development was the invention of large-scale human cooperation. Managing a permanent population required a framework of laws, hierarchies, and administration that nomads never needed. We had to learn to live together in numbers that would have been impossible for our ancestors. Physical evidence of this transition exists across the Indian subcontinent, from the early farming settlements of Lahura Dewa in Uttar Pradesh to the structured ruins of Mehrgarh in Pakistan. These sites mark the transition from survival based on individual luck to survival based on organized social structures. Our modern world, from the cities we live in to the global economy, is built directly on the foundations laid 10,000 years ago. We still live by the rules of the Neolithic. We protect our property, we store our wealth, and we live in fixed communities. Do you believe our current drive for wealth and ownership is still a byproduct of that first harvest? Share your thoughts in the comments and subscribe to Indian Heritage and Philosophy to explore more of our history.